The year is 1614. At the close of Japan's Sengoku period, the country is torn asunder by bloody violence and broken bones. The Tokugawa shogunate is poised to wrest control of the land and finally bring an end to the ceaseless conflict. Between Ieyasu and total dominance, however, there was one small clan they had seemingly overlooked. At the peak of Honshu, resting at the tip of its northern peninsula, sat a small, insignificant hold. It hadn't existed for long, and at most, it had yet to even earn a name. However, to those who lived in its vicinity, it had become known as Akuma Castle. Akuma was home to a thinning population, mostly immigrants from other displaced clans, looking for a home until the war ended. In years prior, small tribes would form, but many descended into infights and squabbling, and would quickly disband. For those without a clan, all hope seems lost. Soon after, however, word began to spread about a mysterious man living near Honshu's peak. It was said that if he spoke to you directly, a warmth and comfort would enter you and would never leave. It was this mysterious feeling that fostered trust in him, but not without tales of his magical throat passing among the neighboring wanderers like wildfire. Compelled by this mysterious heat to follow and serve him, the travelers united and built a village together, with Akuma Castle at its center. 2 short years later, his clan had become a home for any lost or despondent citizens of Japan. All who came to the castle would be welcomed to endless feasts, prosperity, health, and celebrations, in exchange for their unyielding loyalty to the man at its core. His supernatural sway over the hearts and minds of his people led many to believe that he could have been yokai, but his followers took to calling him something more direct. His name was Vox Akuma, the voice demon. Vox seemed to know each citizen of his court very personally. He would arrive at their doors carrying tea and produce in their time of greatest need, and would sit and talk with his silver tongue for hours while never falling behind on any of his duties. The loyal saw him not as a lord, but as their friend. It was this commitment to his legacy that blinded them to the true nature of his rule. Any who ventured outside Akuma's gates would see the bodies of similar deserters torn to ribbons by his sword, before quickly meeting a similar fate themselves. One day, a diplomat from the Tokugawa shogunate arrived at Akuma Castle's gates. He requested an immediate audience with their leader, and Vox was happy to oblige. In his decadent throne room, Vox had the man kneel and state his purpose. He said, with a quivering in his lungs, that if the Akuma clan did not agree to merge with the growing borders of Tokugawa, that his master Ieyasu would declare war. Vox pondered this for all of the blink of an eye before throwing his sword into the ground, inches from the diplomat's nose. Vox spoke, and as he did, a wave not of warmth but of cold and icy dread coated the hall. "The king's duty is to his people," he said, "and living as one of you will make them people no more. Tell your master I am ready for his war." In the coming days, the anxiety of an impending battle bounced off the land of Akuma like rain on an umbrella, as the distant thump of Tokugawa boots thundered through the hills of northern Honshu. The small Akuma militia took up a position on the castle walls, bows and arrows ready to defend their home. One night, Vox himself explored the battlements and met a young woman sitting upon the wall, watching the horizon. "Are you afraid?"
"No, my lord."
"Why ever not? This is your home, isn't it? Aren't you afraid it might fall?"
"I've spent my whole life without a place to belong. This place is the only home I've ever known, and I'd be without a reason to live if it fell."
"So you are afraid?"
I just don't want to think of a life beyond these walls.
The life beyond those walls isn't a life at all, is it? If you had no place to belong before, you had nothing to fight for. But now you do. Hold on to it as tight as you can, little one. You can do that for me, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
That's my girl. As the Tokugawa shinobi quickly slaughtered Vox's soldiers, a grand army appeared at the crest of a nearby hill. At its front was Ieyasu himself, laughing in indignation at the pathetic final stand that stood before him. Vox drew his sword and began fending off the warriors that sought his head. Backed up to the highest peak of his castle, Vox fought off countless of Ieyasu's ilk. It was said that any who could see the tip of Akuma Castle that night saw a blade lit by a demonic fire, the color of which the human eye could scarcely fathom. Amid the 100 slashes of his sword and the blood of Tokugawa spilled by the gallon, slowly, the fire of Vox Akuma began to fade. The soldiers on the ground saw him backed into a corner, until the few who remained of the Akuma clan felt his warmth vanish from their hearts. His fire had gone out, and the peak of his castle was blanketed in shadow. As Ieyasu and his army professed, the last enemy of a unified Japan had been slain, and soon after, the country had become whole. Some believed, however, that his demonic blood would keep him alive. This, of course, is simply hearsay.
Akuma. Akuma.